Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this episode of our podcast, Talking Female Health with Amy and Lisa. I am really excited to be here today, as always, with my wonderful co-host, Lisa. And this is going to be a really interesting conversation for me because I get to know a little bit more about Lisa and what she does. Because this podcast, our intention with this podcast is to support you in your health and well-being and to help you to become informed or more informed of the different ways that you can support yourself. And that being said, Lisa and I both have different ways that we can help and support you. And in this episode, Lisa is going to be sharing with us all about her work and what she does, which is something I'm really excited to hear more about because it does fascinate me because she works in a very similar ways to me, but also very different ways to me. And one of the ways that she works is using soul-based coaching, which is definitely something I want to hear more about. And also more about the way that she structures her work to support you in a really deep and meaningful way. So, Lisa, over to you. Please share with us all about the magic that you are doing with your work.
Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, so I am trained as a soul-based coach and also similar to Amy as a female health coach. And I've found that these two strands of work go together really, really well. And by now we've got scientific evidence why that's the case, and I will dive into that too. But as you say, it's almost magic, and I sometimes find it's almost magical how our body works. And maybe to lead into this, I have recently attended 2 congresses or conferences that went at the same time, 10-day conferences with 3 to 5 videos every day on insulin resistance and on female hormones and hormone balance. And what became very clear to me after only 3 days of watching those conversations that were most important to me is that at the end, it is quite simple to care well for our body. It's simple. I don't say it's necessarily easy, but the things that we need to do is sleep in a good quality, have nutrient-rich food, whole food, like different big variety of foods, have mostly stress and worry-free lifestyle, or make sure that periods of stress that we all experience, that our body does on its own, that's perfectly normal. Activation, doing stuff, is a form of stress to our body, but we need to counterbalance that with rest. And then having some moderate movement, not even exercise, sports, going to the gym, but moderate movement that you include into your day. And these few things are really actually everything you need to live a healthy life. Now, this is probably not new to you. Like, we've heard these things over and over again. We need complex carbohydrates, no added refined sugar. We need lots of variety in terms of vegetables, like eat the rainbow, I've heard people say a lot, to make sure the digestive system works. Now, first of all, like, how does this support your body and your hormone balance? And secondly, why is it so hard to put that into practice? Because knowing from myself, I know what's good for me. That doesn't mean I will always resist temptation. I will surely not. And I know both Amy and I are more of an 80-20 approach, like 80% making healthy choices, and then 20% just to feel good, to give yourself permission to have that piece of cake if you really, really want that and enjoy it in the process. Well, cake is the thing for me. It might be something different for you. The thing is that we've got 3 major important systems in our body: the nervous system, the brain, the lymphatic system, which transports off all the toxins, all the waste products, all the germs and viruses and whatnot, and the digestive system. And all three of them together make up our immune system. So I dare say, when we take good care of our nervous system, again, balancing the stressful periods with restful periods, the lymphatic system, staying hydrated and keeping our body moving, and the digestive system, taking care of our liver. This includes like detoxification, but also making sure that our gut microbiome has a good quality, that the right bacteria are in our gut. Then basically everything else falls into place and sorts itself out. So I'm not one who goes with you to look at all the different hormone levels and what might be in need of quote unquote fixing, how we can counterbalance different levels. I want to say, when you take care of these three, I'm pretty sure that your hormone balance will sort itself out.
Yeah. And I just want to say, my nervous system is relaxing listening to you talk about it this way, because it's exactly what you said. It's simple, but it's a hard concept to grasp because society loves overcomplicating things and providing misinformation or redirecting us to different, like looking outside of ourselves. I think we talk about this a lot on this podcast, looking outside for solutions, problems as well, like you said, talking about the hormonal imbalance. There is so much conversation out there focusing on hormones in women's health. And I'm not saying that that's invalid. I'm not saying that at all. But when it becomes the main focus of a lot of the campaigns and information that women are getting about their body, and therefore the main focus for women to worry and stress about their hormones, that is not helpful. And everything that you've just talked about, it's adding to those issues that, you know, stressing those systems that we need to support. And
it's actually really fascinating, because when you think of that, like, we think it can't be that simple, because if it were that simple, well, everyone could do it. Yeah, that's the point. They want us to believe, the systems. I know it sounds like this big intangible thing, but literally, as long as we think it can't be that easy, we buy into all their shit. And also, we recreate the patterns that lead to more stress, lead to more disbalance, lead to more illness and disease, which makes them more money, because guess what? They can prescribe medication and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I talked to you about this a lot, Lisa. I think I probably mentioned it on this podcast as well. Like, I see myself as an example of this, because I am 8 years into the menopause. And I was laughing with my friends last night at gymnastics, because I'm the heaviest I've ever been. But I'm the healthiest I've ever been. Like, I was saying, you know, I'm sleeping really well, I'm pooing really well, like I'm eating well, I'm feeling well, I've got energy, I feel amazing. I don't have any of these symptoms that the rest of the world tells me I should have. And I don't worry about my hormones, because I listen to the top, those three systems, exactly what you're talking about. I look after those three systems as best as I can. And as a result, my body rewards me with a healthy, happy body. Now, I'm not bragging about the fact that I've put weight on, because like that's not what I'm doing here. But sometimes the focus can be on your weight. As women, we are told, you know, our weight is an indicator of our health, and much like our hormones, you can't be fat and healthy and all these things. And that's not the focus where your focus should be. So likewise, instead of getting down this rabbit warren of, are my hormones in balance? What drugs, supplements, etc. do I need for my hormones? I see the same a lot with women around their weight. Like the focus is torturing themselves around their weight when it's like, that's not where the problem is. Like that's not where the solution is, should I say. Like the solution is looking after your immune system with exactly what you've just said: brain, lymphatic, gut. So when you were talking just then, even though I know all this, like my whole nervous system was just like she's speaking the truth, because it is true. Although the rest of the world seems to be, shouting a different song, different verse.
Yeah, and I think like one of my strengths is keeping an overview of the bigger picture while also being able to attend to details, but then getting back to this overview and making sure that that is like working. And the other thing of why it's probably not easy to just care for these few basic things is because of a lot of trauma. Individual trauma and collective trauma that sits in the body, conditioning that we all go through in society and families. It doesn't even have to be willfully ill will kind of conditioning, but just by being exposed to a certain kind of view of the world, you will be conditioned. So like we all carry our own biases inside. Me too. And that's also where I believe soul-based coaching comes in so incredibly handy, because I have not found as of yet a more trauma-sensitive way of working with someone to get to where they want to go. Because probably for one, because it was developed from trauma therapy, because it was like the questions I use are made up in a very specific way that get the person into a trance state, if you will, but they focus so much on their inner experience that they forget about the outside world. So it's not like anything where someone loses control. Quite the contrary, they are more aware of what's actually happening. And they are more aware of what's happening right now. And thereby, their nervous system can relax. And that is the number one system that will influence all others, that will make it, when your nervous system is relaxed, your body will open up, the lymph can flow better, the blood can flow better, your waste products can be flushed away, and the nutrients can get to where they need to be. The cells are more receptive to the nutrients. And so it all really begins in the nervous system. And through these questions that were developed from a trauma therapist, including the fact that people work in metaphors, like our metaphors are, if you will, our lens through which we look at the world, our inner images. It's not an image per se for everyone, because different people have different ways of perceiving their, for some it may be hearing something, like clear audience, for example, like hearing words. For someone it will be just a felt sense, for others it will be a knowing, and for others again it will be something visible, visual. But they are the way through which we look at the world. And my favorite example is when, as a child, you've learned that you have to build a wall around your heart, which is a metaphor because there is not an actual wall around your heart. Then that might protect you as a child from being hurt. But when you're an adult wanting to have a grown-up relationship, it can be really difficult when there's a wall around your heart. So the question is, what would you like to have happen when there is a wall around your heart? And then by exploring that, you will find that like either you will jump over the wall, or you look around because you find that, oh, it's actually just this big and you can look around the side, or you want to like smash it into pieces, whatever it is. But through the change that happens in your inner perception, in your inner metaphor, in your visual or your felt sense, that makes you look onto the world quite differently afterwards. And that's where this change comes from. from you being able to take back the power of deciding, okay, what do I, as in what do you want to have happen? Because that's the other thing I love so much about soul-based coaching is it gives, like, it clearly shows you that you've got a lot of power inside of you and that you are in control. Yes, there may be factors around you that you cannot influence. That is okay. But within that, what would you like to have happen? Where is this little bit of control that you can gain, as in inner power, inner control, not as in grasping kind of control? And I've said it again and again. I believe that the worst feeling someone can have is powerlessness. And finding this little bit, sometimes it's a big bit, but sometimes just a little bit, but this little bit of control and power again can feel so immensely liberating and change everything in a matter of seconds. And so pointing to that over and over again is super interesting. And then I promised the science part. Or do you want to jump in with something before I start?
I just want to observe something now. People who are watching this will see that I've started rocking. And it's because my whole heart has just filled up with how passionate you are about, like, your whole energy has changed when you've started talking about what you do and how much you love it. And to me, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, like she's talking her magic. Like, it's, you can just see the passion that you have for what you do. And I think that is so, so special. And at the beginning of the year, we did a podcast about our words and our intentions of the year instead of having, you know, New Year's resolutions. And I think we both had joy as our words, as one of our words. And to me, like, I was just feeling complete joy when you were talking then, because I was like, go on, Lisa, like, this is so magical to watch. And then I started giggling. I don't know if you could see me. I was trying to not giggle because I was just thinking, this is like watching me talk about essential oils. Like, this is the passion that we both have for what we do. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate that, because it's so wonderful to watch you come alive with the joy that you have for this practice that I know I've received soul-based coaching from you, and I know how powerful it is. So I just wanted to take some time out to just acknowledge that and to celebrate, like, everything that you've just shared, because it was so wonderful and beautiful to watch. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And please let us know.
The really interesting thing is, I mean, I'm not one who always needs the proof before I believe something. If I can witness it and I, from experience, I can tell this is what happens, then that's proof enough for me. I don't have to have it scientifically proven or whatever. But by now, we know at the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching that a Dr. Alan Fogel, he wrote a paper on basically what we are witnessing every single coaching session. And he calls it the state where change happens sustainably, calls it restorative embodied self-awareness, RESA. And that is basically, embodied self-awareness is a state when you're in that, basically where time stands still, where you are so attuned to what's happening in your body or around your body that there is no conceptual thought. Like, you're not making plans or strategies or whatever, but you're with what is. And that's also when your brain starts more communicating in images or like listening or any kind of other perception than the logical brain. And this restorative embodied self-awareness is a state that is in and of itself healing when you can be there. Because again, and this is where it ties into my female health coaching, because that is when the nervous system relaxes. Because this is where everything opens up, that when you are attuned, and I don't even know if we've ever talked about this here on the podcast, but proprioception and interoception. So interoception is when you can sense what's going on in your body. You have, for example, an idea that you're full after you've eaten, or you can feel how the gas is moving through your digestive system or whatever. And then there's proprioception, which is your body knowing where its different parts are in relation to space. So I know that my right forefinger is pointing somewhere to the right behind me and not to the left, for example, without looking at it. And this state where you are aware of these proprioceptive and interoceptive states of your body, that is healing. That is when your body goes into this moment of rest and digest and repair and can do all these processes. And that is what, through the combination of the clean language, the questions that do not interfere with the client's experience in the coaching session, and the metaphors, because again, metaphors are not logical. They don't have to make sense to your logical brain at all, but they are still the lens you look at you look through at the world. And this combination brings you into this state every time in soul-based coaching. And that to me is so fascinating, because this is the place where change happens sustainably, and also where trauma, which is usually stuck energy, can be released from the body, because the body opens up. You have more capacity to be with your emotions, to be with the intensity of your experience, that the body is so open that it can let go.
And I just love how you're bringing everything back to that nervous system being calmed. And one observation that I want to bring to the conversation is, we said at the beginning of this episode that our intention with this podcast is to support women with their health and well-being, and for them to become more informed. And the Western medical model that a lot of us have been conditioned to follow and entrust completely ignores the nervous system. And you may well be in a situation with your health journey where you have been going through this Western medical structure to get help. And one thing that I reflect back on, knowing what I know now, is how unsupportive of the nervous system that whole environment is. So when you're going to seek help and support, a lot of the time you're rushed. You know, it can be a stress to get to wherever you've got to go. You've got to get parked, your appointment times, whatever else. And then your time with the actual person that you go to see is really rushed, and you're potentially having to get undressed and be examined and have all these things happen to your body that you have very little control over in such a short space of time, in a very clinical, non-relaxed setting with harsh lighting and noise and all the rest of it. And your nervous system isn't in that place of rest. So it adds to everything else that is happening for you. That is the reason why you're going there in the first place. And I think the reason I get so, like, my body responds so much to you caring so much about the nervous system is because I've been in that place where my nervous system's been ignored and I'm not aware of what's happening, and I'm in this tense space all the time, and I'm out of my body. Like, I'm just here like this, like ill and all of the things. So I really want to highlight the importance of supporting your nervous system through your health journey. And what Lisa is talking about here is, I keep using this word, it's magic. Because when you work with Lisa and she gets you to this space and she makes you aware of how you can feel in your body, then you start to realize and trust in the process that is your body's abilities. You know, it unlocks the rest of it, the lymphatic system, the gut health, like all of the other pieces. And it creates that trust that you need with yourself to continue the journey. And, you know, you were talking there about it being sustainable. And when you know how to support your nervous system, it becomes sustainable, because you can bring yourself back. Like we said, the world gets crazy sometimes, life gets crazy, we can get to places where we don't need to be. But having that tool and that awareness, bringing yourself back to the beginning, to the brain, to the nervous system, is magic. So I just feel sometimes when we're talking in these podcasts and having these conversations, we know the power of supporting your nervous system. But if there's someone listening who potentially hasn't got themselves there yet, I just want to put the spotlight on how magical that is when you are able to do that. And it may be something that you've not even thought of or been aware of in your challenges with your health and well-being. So yeah, that when Lisa's talking about supporting the nervous system, it's so important. It's continue.
And actually, you can do this yourself anytime through your breath. Because the other thing that became very clear during this conference and the different conversations was that the way we breathe heavily restricts our organs, heavily restricts the different organs that produce hormones from doing their thing.
Yeah.
So even just sitting upright, shoulders over hips, over feet, if you're standing or sitting, then just over your hips, and breathing with your diaphragm, so basically expanding the rib cage into all directions on the inhale and breathing out again, that's literally where it starts.
Yeah.
And that is accessible to you at all times.
Yeah.
And there is a very famous book that says the body keeps the score. I think Bessel van der Kolk. And I dare say your nervous system keeps the score.
Yes.
I've just become aunt, and seeing that little two-week-old boy and what his little nervous system has to go through with all these new impressions, even just being from the usual surroundings to granddad and grandma, even that can upset the nervous system, and the nervous system has to get used to. So no wonder, and most of us have grown up like we don't even remember what has been happening, maybe. Our nervous system remembers. It keeps the score for us until we make space or have the capacity to be with that and complete the response that maybe got activated when you were very, very little. But it's never too late. You can do that at any age. That's the beauty of the body.
Absolutely.
As you say, it's all about developing this trust in your body again. You had it as a child, and then like societal conditioning kicks in, and we disconnect from the body because the body is an unsafe place to be. As a woman or a person in a female body, it's especially dangerous. It has been in a lot of situations. So like it's valid that we don't want to be in the body. Yet that's where the healing comes from.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have this whole body, heart, mind, and soul connection. And that's what I try to provide. Because then your hormones have the chance to balance themselves out. And again, balance to me is not a static thing. A balance is there are shifts. Especially in a female body, there are a lot of shifts.
Yeah.
That is okay. But it's like it's working together. And the main disruptor, what leads to most, if not all, disease in some way, shape, or form, is the stress. Is the nervous system being stressed? Because then there's a whole cascade of things that are happening when your body produces too much, what is it?
Cortisol.
Cortisol. Yeah, I always mix it up with cholesterol. No, cortisol. Yes. Exactly, the cortisol that will then disrupt the whole amazing symphony that is going on every month. So that is always the first step we need to address. And stress, I want to stress that again. Stress can be on a physical level as well. Doing a lot of cardio exercise is physical stress to the body. Being around toxins is stress to the body. So that is where it starts. It's not just psycho-emotional stress. And then the spiritual kind of stress where you feel all alone in the world, separate from everyone else. That's, I would categorize it as a spiritual kind of stress, because you don't feel held by this bigger, loving presence.
Yeah.
That connects you with everyone else. And that's when all the problems start, if you will. I mean, the Native Americans say the spirit, when there's a disruption in the spirit, then it will have an effect on all other systems, going through the thoughts to the emotions to the body. And symptoms are your body's last resort of communicating with you, of trying to make you listen. So let's start listening.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Oh, do you know, I'm loving this. I'm loving it. And what I would really like you to invite you to do now, Lisa, is to talk to us about your Happy Healthy Periods program, and yeah, just dive more into what that is, why you've created it. Just tell us everything.
Yeah, I feel by now I'm like the happy, healthy period girl, although I don't feel like a girl, but more a fully grown woman. Because yeah, happy, healthy period. I mean, I imagine who doesn't want a happy, healthy period, but who actually knows what that looks like?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to preface all of this saying, like, I found myself wondering the other days, there is so much talk from hormone coaches and other coaches and whatnot about harnessing your hormones, fixing your hormones, fixing your period. I mean, I help you get rid of the pain and the symptoms. Nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That is a very valid concern that you want to have. And I want our period or our whole menstrual cycle experience to be more than just absence of symptoms. I want this to be the body, heart, mind, and soul experience that it was meant to be in the first place. So I'm very much on the side of alleviating menstrual health challenges and also looking at what's to come. How do you want that time to be? How do you want to experience a menstrual cycle so you don't feel subject to your fluctuations and whatnot, but rather like a surfer riding on these waves that are going on, understanding the waves. A surfer knows how to read the water and the currents and all of that, so that they can find the sweet spot of when they need to get on the surfboard and surf through the waves, right? And that's what I want for you too. That's why in my program, we will cover a lot of ground. But basically, exactly to what I've said before, we will look at how can we support your nervous system? How can we help you find the pockets of rest and relaxation that you need to counterbalance the active and stressful phases? Looking at how you can maybe sleep better, because as you, Amy, also shared, like when we are stressed, we often have trouble sleeping. And then we move through the lymphatic system as there's a specific process that I follow that was developed by Dr. Peri Nicholson, and that will like really help your deep lymphatics. So there will be some of the superficial, like the superficial skin lymphatics activated, but also the organs, the liver, the spleen, the intestines, because we want to really get the whole detoxification system of your body on board so that these processes can work well. And then, of course, looking at your gut, at the digestion, what you can do to how you can through step by step, not to overwhelm anyone, but step by step, including more of the healthier food choices into your diet and leaving out more of the maybe not so healthy food choices, so that your gut microbiome can also adjust to this. Because what I learned is like when you feed your body the right things, the good bacteria will start to grow in your gut. That's how you eliminate the bad bacteria, basically, by letting the good ones grow. And all of this combined with soul-based coaching so that you feel supported on an emotional and a mental level. Because if you remember what I said in the beginning is the trauma or the traumatic experiences or anything that our system found too much, too soon, too fast in that moment, all these experiences need to be worked through and released. Maybe not all of them, but a good portion.
Yeah.
For us to feel less stressed and more balanced. And then the rest, like, things will sort themselves out, as I shared. And that is a 3-month program. And yes, it's possible to experience a lot of improvement in just 3 months. For example, if you look at the menstrual cycle, the eggs, the follicles that are ripening now, or that, like, it was 3 months ago that their health was set.
Yeah.
So when you start today, you will prepare the eggs in 3 months' time.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it will take a while. This is not a quick fix, as we've also shared here a few times. And 3 months isn't that much of, like, isn't that long a time compared to all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to take a sneak peek into this and into what a happy, healthy period or cycle experience could look like for you, I can leave you the link to I called it a guided self-exploratory journey, happy, healthy period. That is a 1-hour guided visualization, meditation practice to connect you with your happy, healthy period. That will also give you a good impression of what it would feel like to work with me. As in, like, you really experience the magic of soul-based coaching that I described before.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I just love that you are giving that space, like that 3-month space, to really set all of what's needed in motion. And I feel that we talk about, like you say, we talk about this a lot on this podcast. We don't do quick fixes. Like, that the body needs time, love, patience, understanding, communication. And that program just feels so full of all of those things. And having that space to really go through the motions of your cycle whilst in the program, again, is really, really valuable, because you are going to get to experience the journey of what you're looking for, like the happy, healthy period. And I just think that is such a beautiful offer. And I'm sitting here just grieving my own cycle, thinking I really wish that I had this information before I made the decisions that I made. But to have, people like you, Lisa, offering this knowledge and support and love to people who are experiencing these really big challenges. Because, if you're having issues with your menstrual cycle, it's not just 2 or 3 days of the month that you're having the issue. It's a much bigger picture than that. And we know and we understand that. So yeah, like, I have just loved this episode. I've loved listening to you. I've loved watching you light up as you talk about what you do, and just literally feeling the love come through the screen about how passionate and how much this means to you to be able to support others. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And for everybody who's listening, the link to Lisa's invitation will be in the section below for you to get access to. And as always, we would, with an open heart, invite your questions, your curiosity, whatever you have. If you want to comment publicly, you can. If you want to email us privately, you can. And if you are liking the podcast, which we really hope you are, and that you are getting value and content from it, we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and, like the episode and share it with your friends. If there's somebody friend, family, loved one, who is struggling in some way, share an episode with them. And if you are somebody who has received that episode from someone else, then what a loving thing to do. Like, I love it when people send me podcasts and say, I've listened to this and I thought of you. I just feel so loved in that moment and so appreciated. So please don't shy away from doing that for other people, because it's a really loving thing to do. So Lisa, have you got any closing words that you'd like to share with our lovely viewers?
Just that your body is magic and you are magic. And I wish for you to just start the first steps on this journey of befriending your body, befriending yourself, because that's where the power lies. That's where your power lies, inside of you.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Yeah. And this episode has been magical. So thank you so much for contributing everything that you have. And thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. And we will see you in the next episode. Lots of love.
Bye.